Assalamualaikum. We are from Group 2. I'm going to present to you about the decline of reading culture among university students. University students nowadays are struggle to focus when reading and also losing interest when reading much more complex and longer texts. So there is a need to resurrect the reading culture among university students in order to produce knowledgeable and educated individuals as well as driving national progress. So in this presentation, we are going to discuss further about the concept of knowledge and civilization in relation with the reading culture and also the analysis from the Islamic perspective regarding the issue of the decline reading habit among university students.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Nula Shukira, and for my part, I will explain the definition of key concept. First is knowledge or ilm in Islam. Knowledge is not only about gaining information or academic success, it also helps people develop morally and spiritually. Islam strongly encourages Muslims to seek knowledge. This can be seen in the first revelation of the Quran, which is began with the command Iqra, meaning read. Okay, for the second is civilization or hadara in Islam. Civilization is not measured only by technology or company progress. It also built through knowledge, education, ethics, and good values. A strong civilizations develop when people actively seek and apply knowledge. Okay, third, Concept is reading culture among university students. Reading culture refers to the habit of reading regularly to gain knowledge and improve critical thinking. However, many students today spend more time on social media and short-form content than reading books or academic materials. As a result, reading habits are declining, which may affect both intellectual growth and the future development of society. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you very much.
In Islam, the pursuit of knowledge is not merely encouraged but made obligatory. As stated in a hadith narrated by Ibn Majah, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Seeking knowledge is an obligation upon every Muslim." This established knowledge as fardu ain, emphasizing individual responsibility and accountability. More importantly, Islam highlights the importance of ilm nafi or beneficial knowledge. Classical scholars reinforces this understanding. Al-Ghazali emphasized that knowledge without ethics is incomplete and must be accompanied by inner purification and character development. Similarly, Syed Muhammad Naqib Al-Attas viewed education as a process of producing a good person, integrating intellectual growth with moral and spiritual refinement. However, in the contemporary Malaysian context, learning habits are changing. Students increasingly rely on lecture slides, summaries, short-form contents, and AI tools. This reflects a shift from deep learning towards surface-level learning, mainly driven by efficiency and academic performance. So this trend has significant cognitive and ethical implications. Over-reliance on simplified content reduces critical thinking, analytical skills, and reflections. So as a result, students develop what is known as superficial literacy, where information is consumed without true understanding. This can also weaken moral judgment and disconnect learning from its true purpose. From an Islamic perspective, true knowledge requires mujahadah, which is intellectual effort, sabar or patience, and tafakkur, meaning deep reflection. However, over-dependence on AI may weaken discipline and encourage passive consumption. Therefore, the key issue is not technology itself, but the balance between technology and meaningful learning. AI should be used as a support tool, not a replacement for thinking. Students must continue to practice deep reading, independent thinking, and ethical awareness. In conclusion, learning should always align with intellectual excellence, moral development, and the true purpose of ilm in Islam, because ultimately, true knowledge is not only about knowing, but about becoming, both intellectually and morally.
Encouraging reading is not only an individual responsibility, but also a collective responsibility. When a person stops reading, the effects may seem small. However, when many people neglect reading, the impact spreads throughout the society. Reading develops knowledge, critical thinking, and also wisdom. But without these qualities, society may struggle to solve complex social, economic, and political challenges. This idea is reflected in Ibn Khaldun's theory of Hadarah, which explains that civilizations rise when people value knowledge and intellectual growth. On the other hand, when societies become distracted by comfort and superficial entertainment, they begin to decline. Therefore, the reading habits of university students matter because they are the future leaders, educators, and policymakers of the nation. We can learn from Japan, where reading is deeply embedded in daily life. Reading is encouraged through social norms and accessible book formats. This shows that a strong reading culture is created not by individual alone, but by a community that values knowledge. The Quran also reminds us of the importance of reading and learning through the command in Surah Al-Alaq. Allah says, "Read in the name of your Lord who created." So, in a nutshell, building a reading culture requires collective effort. Families, universities, communities, and also students themselves must work together to encourage reading and strengthen the intellectual future of our nation.
So, recent studies have identified several factors contributing to this social issue. This includes over-reliance on artificial intelligence, digital distractions, academic burnout, limited access to reading resources, and a lack of encouragement to read from early age. So, these findings suggest that the decline is not caused by technology alone, but is also shaped by broader social and structural factors. Many research shows that students enter university without strong reading habits, because these habits were not consistently encouraged during their early education. So as a result, they often struggle to adapt to an academic environment that requires engagement with books, journal articles, and other lengthy texts. So other contemporary studies have also found that university students rarely use libraries for regular reading. Instead, libraries are mainly visited when assignments or examinations require it. So even when libraries' facilities are adequate, many students do not dedicate sufficient time to reading beyond compulsory academic tasks. And the consequences of this decline can be significant. Weak reading practices have been linked to reading anxiety, poor academic performance, lower grades, and a greater risk of course withdrawal. In contrast, strong reading habits are associated with better learning attitudes, stronger academic achievement, and improved ability to overcome academic challenges. Therefore, the decline of reading culture among university students is not only an educational concern, but is also a social issue with implications for academic success and lifelong learning.
So for the critical reflection, 1. It is depend on us on how we use technology to cultivate the reading culture, as we can easily access the reading material either it is digital or physical form. Number 2. Higher institutions and authority hold responsibility to provide initiatives that encourage people to read more books. Number 3. Learning in university is beyond memorization of simple notes. And number 4. The decline of reading affects student reading, writing, and also thinking skills. And number 5. University students should practice to gradually read day by day to improve their attention span, and at the same time, learning something new. In conclusion, when university students realize that Islam encourages Muslims to read and learn for the betterment of the Ummah, and seeking beneficial knowledge by reading is also part of ibadah, they will be more aware that reading culture is important to rebuild the society where citizens appreciate the knowledge and books that they read.